Today, we will be taking a look at the Mississippi Flood of 1927. As to be assumed, this flood took place largely in Mississippi, but what isn't so obvious from the name is the magnitude of this flood. It not only affected Mississippi, but Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Texas as well. It is known to be the most destructive flood caused by a river and one of the worst natural disasters in the United States history, earning itself the title the Great Flood. In the summer of 1926, heavy rainfall in the central basin of the Mississippi set the flood on its way. By December of 1926, the water in the tributaries was overflowing, reaching record heights. Walls built along the river, known as levees, were made prior to help control overflowing. On April 16, 1927, the first levee gave way in Illinois. Less than a week later, the levee at Mound's Landing gave way in Mississippi, sending the flood well on its way. Over the next few weeks, the entire levee system controlling the river gave way. Water rose to record heights, submerging land within a 23,000 square mile radius and up to 30 feet of water. Around 250 people lost their lives to the flood, and hundreds of thousands of others were forced to relocate their homes. It took months for the floodwaters to subside completely, and even after that, the effects of the flood were still evident. People's property, livestock, crops, and land were all destroyed. Roads, bridges, railways, and tunnels were destroyed, costing the government millions of dollars to repair damage. Louisiana alone was given over $1 million by the federal government for repairs. Though everyone in the area was affected by the flood, the African American population took the majority of the blow. They were forced to work in dangerous conditions, both on projects aimed to control water flow before and during the flood, and in the relief efforts following the flood. White survivors were seen as the priority, so African Americans were left stranded for days at a time without food or water. They were given floorless tents with no furniture or utensils inside, and they were only given a portion of the food that white citizens were given. This brought about political changes in the U.S. surrounding racial policy. It also contributed largely to the Great Migration, where many African Americans moved to the North, where they would find more social and political freedom. Vast political changes also came about in an effort to prevent a similar disaster from taking place in the future. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers were put in charge of the river, and from that, the Flood Control Act of 1928 came to be. The world's longest levee system and floodways to redirect the excess water were built under this act. The structures did help prevent flooding to some extent, but backlash came along with it. The levees changed the flow path and the speed of the Mississippi River, which had consequences, which allowed the flooding to become more prevalent in the future, proving again how a single event can shape the future in such vast ways.